Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we got the patch notes for the mid-month Moon Knight Elektra update. So we're going to dive into them now and see what you can expect. Keep in mind this is going to be a rolling update. This is not a full update. It's a mid-month update, so the game will not go down for maintenance. The scheduled maintenance time is, as you can see here, Wednesday for UTC +0 at 3 a.m. or Tuesday night for people on the west coast of the US and parts of South America, I believe, and Canada. That's 8 p.m. That means it's going to be at 11 p.m. for the east coast of Canada, and that's, for me, that means it's going to be noon. So really, really nice update time for people in this time zone, in the Korean time zone, the KST, because it's at noon. It's like I can just wake up, get a coffee. Anyways, I'll miss being here for the MFF updates as much as I wouldn't like them to coincide with my vacations. There is a niceness to it. Now, the niceness continues because we have a Moon Knight uniform and an Elektra uniform. However, two things to note here. One, there's a bit of an unfortunate translation here. It says 2 new uniforms will be added for Moon Knight, who has received the powers of the moon god Khonshu, and Elektra, who has become the one without fear. A lot of people, and I mean a lot, dozens, read this sentence as 2 uniforms for Moon Knight and 1 uniform for Elektra, but that's not what they meant. They meant 2 new uniforms for Moon Knight and Elektra. But because they have this massive comma pause thing in the middle, it confuses people who read it. So yeah. Second thing is, I know a lot of you are going to get in the comments telling me that Moon Knight's skill cooldown is longer now, or they took away some heal that he had on his 3rd skill, or the percentage of the physical damage or the additional physical damage is changed and it's lower, so they nerfed Moon Knight. Oh my god, Moon Knight got nerfed. They took away his silence. He used to be so good for ABX until Wolverine came along, but he used to be so good for ABX. He has paralysis and burn, but no silence. What happened to the silence? I have answers for you. One, we can't trust the patch notes completely. Remember, just a month ago, some people thought that Wanda, Scarlet Witch, was nerfed because of the way the skills looked. Turns out she's better than Thena. Not a nerf. Definitely not a nerf. So I will say this. Don't panic. Let's just see how it plays out. As far as his silence effect being removed from his skills for ABX, that's 100% true. It's not here. He still has the burn on his 3rd skill, and he still has the paralysis on multiple skills. I think 2 has paralysis and 4. However, you can always get the silence effect on a skill from a striker, because Moon Knight now has tier 4. Spoiler alert, yes, Moon Knight has gotten tier 4. We're sort of moving around, we're sort of like jumping around the patch notes, but that's okay. The patch notes are basically just Elektra tier 3, Moon Knight tier 4, and then the artifacts. So there isn't like a ton to discuss, to have to go step by step and be really, really diligent not to miss anything. However, I will say this, the devs should work on their presentation here. I think a lot of players are looking at this and they're scoffing and they're saying, what the hell is this crap? Hello, this is a tier 4 skill, 20% heal. I mean, 20% heal is nice. 10% all speed for 10 seconds is like that's nothing. And then 70% all attack is great, but for 1 second, now there is information missing here. One, this is the level 1 skill. You can see right here, the effects are based on level 1 skill stats. That's with no striker. And if you remember, when you equip a striker, it adds like 3 or 5 levels. So this effect is going to go up. Presumably, I assume one of 2 things is going to happen. Number 1, as the level goes up when you add a striker, or you add a striker with the matching instinct, that 1 second is going to go up to like 5 seconds or whatever. So that means Moon Knight's going to get like a 100% heal, because a 20% heal for 5 seconds, 20, 40, 60, 80. I did my math. Second thing I think is that the percentage is going to go up, but not the duration. The duration will stay at 1 second, but it's one of those effects. We have quite a few of them in the game where the skill effect says 1 second, but it's a refreshing. It's a refreshing 1 second that lasts maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds, but it's 1 second that refreshes again and again and again. The 1 second that refreshes can actually be better, because if buffs are removed, like let's say you're in the middle of the Dormammu fight and he removes all your buffs, guess which buff refreshes? This one. So I'm not 100% sure. This is me speculating based on the existing skill effects that we have in Marvel Future Fight, but that's what I expect to happen, one of those two scenarios. However, I shouldn't have to speculate all of that to you, and I shouldn't have to go out on a limb myself speculating. The devs should really do a bit better job here of explaining things and, you know, giving us more information that we need for this to really sell this effect, because tier 4 is really expensive and they're not selling it. They're really not doing a good job of selling it right now, and they need to if more players are going to adopt it, right? They can't just rely on the content creators like Beast Mode, etc., whatever, myself, Jakob Tashik. They can't rely on us to do this for them, you know? So, yeah. And then anyways, as far as the uniforms go, I do like what I see on Moon Knight's despite the changing numbers. He has 35% chain hit, increased damage dealt to boss types by 10%. That's pretty big. The fact that he has that and he has no iframe ignore means that he's probably leaning heavily towards PvE content, which I think most players are going to be happy to hear because they didn't want a PvP Moon Knight. But he still has damage reduction and he still has like multiple heals. He has a heal on his passive when he uses his 5th skill, I believe. And he also has a heal on another skill. I can't remember which. I thought he had a heal on another skill. Anywho, he has a... No, just one skill has a heal. Well, his tier 4 has a heal. And his 5th skill has a heal. Yeah, 30% heal. So yeah, lots of healing. The only thing he doesn't have is an accumulation buff. But that's okay. There are good characters like Green Goblin who don't have an accumulation buff, and they are still very, very good. So don't panic that he doesn't have an accumulation buff. As far as Elektra goes, she's getting her Daredevil sort of Woman Without Fear uniform. This should be a massive buff for her, and I hit the M really hard on that one because the last time Elektra got a uniform was like 2016, 2017. It's been a long time. Long time. So this should be like very transformative buff for her, like an Electro type of uniform buff. But they're definitely leaning towards PvP with this one. Definitely. So she gets the crit rate, she gets the crit damage, she gets the damage reduction, she gets the nice 33, 33, 33, kind of cute there. And then 33% chance when she gets hit, she gets a 6% heal for 3 seconds, which is 18% healing. And she gets 3 seconds of invisibility. For those of you that don't know what invisibility is, it makes you, like, you're basically in an iframe. And the only way for the enemy to hit you is if they have an iframe ignore skill that they can use. Speaking of iframe ignore, Elektra has not one, but 2 iframe ignore skills. Yes, the very first character with I believe the very first character with multiple iframe ignore skills. Now, there are some characters like Icarus, etc., that when they buff themselves, they give all of their skills iframe ignore. Shang-Chi as well has that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2 different skills that have the ignore targeting effect. Now, the second skill here also has counterattack. So like her kit just screams PvP. Just screams PvP. So for those of you on the fence about it, if you don't like PvP, maybe wait a few days to see more content creator reviews of her. She also has guaranteed dodge, guaranteed crit and skill damage, bonus damage, but the ignore iframe and the counterattack with a 70% chance to penetrate removes all debuffs, so she cleanses herself, which is bonkers. And this skill, her threat detection skill, gives her the ignore targeting effect for 3 seconds, which means that she technically has what I said that Icarus has. She gives all of her skills iframe ignore, which is pretty bonkers. Yeah. And then her 4th skill also has iframe ignore with a 15% heal and a damage proc. And then her 5th skill also has a 15% heal. Yeah. Multiple heals, multiple iframe ignore skills, passive healing, active healing, debuff removal. Yeah, she's looking pretty freaking stacked. So we might see a speed meta come out of this. It seems like the devs are, anxious to try and give us counters for Adam Warlock and Emma Frost in PvP. And I'm kind of thankful for that because those are really expensive characters who have been dominating PvP for a while now, and we really only have Spider-Man to kind of counter them, but not really. The only thing that counters Adam these days is a better Adam, and that's not really what you want to hear considering how expensive he is. So yeah, maybe Elektra will be the sort of free-to-play or sort of budget option along with Spider-Man, maybe side by side with Spider-Man with Echo lead, to really, you know, punch a hole in this sort of blast meta, this prolonged blast meta that we've seen in the timeline PvP scene. So I'm pretty happy about Elektra. She could still be good for PvE though. Just because I'm saying she seems really PvP doesn't mean she's going to be bad for PvE, because she has a frenzy buff, 55% frenzy buff. She has a 100% damage proc. Remember, she has the guaranteed crit rate, and crit damage. The only thing she doesn't have is chain hit damage. That's the only thing she's missing. We'll have to see if she's proc friendly or not. But she also has accumulation. She has a 1% accumulation for 10 seconds on her tier 3. Her tier 3 looks a lot like Daredevil's tier 3. And it makes sense because she's the woman without fear, right? She should sort of have the same vibe. However, she's not blind like Daredevil is. So doing the sort of like black, white, and red motif kind of makes sense to me, and it kind of doesn't make sense, right? Because she doesn't have that vision that he has with his senses heightened due to his blindness from the Ninja Turtles goo that went on his face. TM. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. Also, her artifact, spoiler, is PvE oriented, because it gives her an 80% chance at 6 stars, like at the max level, 80% chance to increase her base crit by 35%, which goes over the cap of 200. Moon Knight's artifact, on the other hand, is just like Makari's, so it's perfect for ABX. It pretty much, in my opinion, signals that the devs are trying to give us a sort of combat version of Loki in Moon Knight, right? He already has paralysis. He already has burn on his own. You can easily give him silence now as a tier 4 with a striker, and he should be able to hit 12 million at tier 4, just given how busted tier 4 is, right? We've seen tier 4 Iron Man hit 12 million, and Iron Man's not even supposed to be that good for PvE content, like ABX content. Iron Man's never been good for ABX. I mean, sorry, he's good for PvE content, but he's never been good for ABX. So yeah, it's sort of like, and this artifact is like an ABX artifact because the Frost Beast almost never goes under 50%, and if they do, they instantly heal back to 100%. So the artifact is basically always giving him the buff, right? And so at max rank, it's 25% damage dealt, just always on. Pretty crazy stuff, pretty nice stuff. So yeah, and then there's some game mode, there's some like game error fixes, bug fixes. There was a bug briefly, a lot of people messaged me about it. Free to play adventure, shout out to you, and ODS Sam and stuff like that. That you could, if you press 2 and 3 with Supergiant at the same time, and then you press 4, you could summon infinite black bolts who would scream and do that like purple wave attack. It's basically Supergiant's 4th skill, but you could do it like infinitely. So you could hit 30 million ABX score, and you could hit 10 million in like a minute. They're gonna patch that out. It's still in the game now. Don't abuse it. Don't risk getting banned or whatever. But yeah. And then there's a couple of changes. They're adding the Vishanti Books of Combat, so you're going to have to pay more attention when you're going to play GBR Dormammu. If you're specifically hunting for a combat book for Moon Knight or a blast book for Iron Man, or if you just want to stock up for the future, the next tier 4 combat, the next tier 4 blast, you should pay attention to which days. Some of the days will be blast, some of the days will be combat. We sort of expected that, and then of course when they introduce the speed or universal, it's going to get even more complicated and more, striated from there. So yeah, pretty good patch notes, I would say. Good artifacts, like solid reworks overall. Really the only thing that I think people are going to be groaning about is another tier 4, especially with how little Carbonadium drops. I really think the devs need to drop more Carbonadium, or give us a dev note and let us know what the roadmap is for tier 4, because I think that's where some players, especially some veterans, are feeling like this is sort of the time to put your wallet away or open your wallet. And so, you know, I don't mind spending as a content creator. I am going to get Moon Knight. I really like Moon Knight as well. But I feel like the devs owe it to us, to the players, to all players, not the content creators, all players, to give us a roadmap of like, so what's the plan with tier 4? Because at least for right now, you don't need tier 4 for any content. Sure, it makes content easier. I can do Dormammu faster, whoop-de-doo, but you don't need it, right? You definitely don't need it. Level 80 is really clutch, but that's not tier 4, right? And you don't need tier 4 materials for level 80, which is really good. So I welcome more level 80s. I'm glad that Moon Knight's getting his level 80. I think you should level 80 Moon Knight, even if you have no intention of tier 4ing him, because level 80 is just busted. But I do think the devs should definitely give us a roadmap so that players who are on the fence about spending for tier 4, on the fence about this next upgrade, this next level, this next step up, they have more context, right? Like where are the devs going with this? Are we going to get another 1 or 2 World Boss Legends that are going to require tier 4s? And are those World Boss Legends going to drop like some crazy good stuff, right? Are we going to get a new story mode for tier 4s that you can autoplay that's going to drop awakening materials and tier 4 materials? Like what's the, you know, what's this upgrade for? Is there going to be new dispatch, right? We should know, you know, is there going to be a new dispatch that you can farm crystals and you need tier 4 for that? I don't know. I'm just saying there needs to be a bit more of a roadmap to justify this. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'll tell you where Curious George is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.